Hello, welcome to Wednesday's Knots Today with me, Mark Dennison. Hope you're doing all right. Here's what's on the show today. Firstly, what does the future hold for shopping in Sutton? That's after the Idlewild was put up for auction.
It's nice to see people in here and it's nice to see it busy, and I hope it continues.
It's quite essential for people. It gives people a reason to come into Sutton, I think.
Also on the show, we'll be speaking to the former Sheriff of Nottingham about why she quit the Labour Party. Councillor Shagufta Kudus rebelled against the party's cuts to services in the city. She joins us on the sofa in just a moment to tell us more. We'll also be meeting a proud homeowner and Lord Byron enthusiast who lives in the Southwell house once occupied by the flamboyant poet.
To be able to write a book about a person in this room, which you know was Byron's bedroom, it's quite an exceptional experience. But I do feel sometimes that he's perhaps looking down and thinking, what's this chap doing?
Also on the show today, we'll be hearing how people in West Bridgford are using embroidery to boost their mental health.
And I said persuade people to pick up a needle and thread and have a doodle rather than that glass of wine every night.
In sport, reaction to defeats for both Mansfield and Notts County, including hearing from the Stags manager Nigel Clough after they capitulated to lose against Bolton.
But then we settled down again, started playing, got the press sorted out better, and I thought we were in control of the game for the majority of it, up until the red card. So all of that and plenty more coming up. But firstly, I'm sure you're well aware of Nottingham City Council's fraught financial troubles. And our next guest has spoken publicly about her views on some of the cuts. Councillor and former Sheriff of Nottingham, Shagufta Kudus, resigned from the Labour Party last month, saying people before party has always been my political compass. And I'm pleased to say Councillor Shagufta joins me in the studio now. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. How long have you been considering doing this?
I was suspended by the Labour Party in March.
Yep.
So pretty much since March.
Right.
It's been kind of on my radar that, and I think since March, as I've listened to people, listened to community groups and seen the impact of this year's budget, I think I've just been moving in that direction to kind of say, I'll have to resign.
Right. What was the final straw? Can you remember?
I think it's been coming up to this period because obviously the City Council's budget for next year goes out for public consultation next week. And I know that that budget consultation and the content of it, with the £69 million savings, will be more brutal than the budget we've just had and are experiencing. So I think knowing that was coming, it just felt like, okay, now I need to make a stand, and I need to do that for the residents that I represent and for the city that I love.
It's a complicated picture, isn't it? Because sometimes we get into a bit of a blame game and local government blames central government. Of course, central government has changed this year anyway, just to add another layer to it. Do you understand why people find all of this very confusing?
Honestly, Mark, as a local councillor, it took me several years to understand how local government is financed. And some of it isn't all about money on the table. Some of it is about the way that council tax as a tax is structured. It's quite a regressive tax that people have to pay for services they feel they're getting less back for. And some of it is about structural change in the way that local government is financed and its relationship with central government and the reliance on that money from central government. So part of it for me is also about looking at what are the structural changes that we need to make across the country so that local councils are structured and funded in a way that is sustainable.
What does it actually mean to be independent? So you've resigned from the Labour Party, but what does that actually mean in practice?
I think for me, Mark, it means that I have the freedom to speak the truth of the experience that my residents tell me that they are experiencing as a result of these cuts. My experience is that often our most vulnerable citizens are the least heard. And as an elected councillor, my political compass, as you mentioned, has always been about, will these decisions harm or benefit my residents? And they need a voice, they need an elected representative who will say how they are experiencing these cuts, that further austerity in a city like Nottingham that has high levels of child poverty, we're the 11th most deprived council across England and Wales. Someone has to speak that truth, and people need their local representatives to truly stand with them and to speak their experiences. And for me, that's about representing the views of those vulnerable residents, community groups across the city, our librarians, the people that use our libraries, our community centre volunteers, our campaigners, our food bank volunteers, who've all been speaking to me for the last 6 months, who've been picking up the phone, dropping me an email saying, oh, we heard you were the only one who voted against the cuts.
What would you say to people that say, look, when you were elected, you were a representative of Labour? I hear what you're saying about people first, but some people might say, well, look, why don't you step down, have a by-election?
And people have said that. And I think when I became a Labour Party councillor, the Labour Party as it was, we had a different leadership, we were in opposition nationally, and I felt that my personal values fitted with the values of the Labour Party. And I think the change that I was hoping for from the new Keir Starmer Labour government, it's been disappointing.
Right.
Rachel Reeves' budget recently, it's been disappointing.
Okay.
So I felt that at this stage of my political journey, that was the next step for me, was to resign and quit the Labour Party.
Okay. Thank you for coming in and putting your side of the story. In a statement, the Labour group, which runs the authority, says it's focused on taking tough and responsible decisions to fix the council's finances, and said its focus is on this rather than what it describes as sniping from the sidelines. It's time to look more deeply now into something we've been talking about on the show this week, and that's in Sutton in Ashfield, where the main attraction to their town, Idlewell Shopping Centre, is going under the hammer for more than £3 million. It's off Market Street, of course, owned by London-based investment group Midos. It's being sold to the highest bidder on December the 12th. Jordan Guerrero went along to find out more.
A shopping hall established more than 5 decades ago that's since become the staple attraction of Sutton in Ashfield. Thousands of shoppers come through the doors of the Idlewells each month to buy goods from the national and independent businesses on offer. But the future of these facilities isn't clear after management company Davleo Estates put the shopping centre up at auction for a price of more than £3 million. The company insists this isn't a result of performance, but it's because its own property portfolio needs to be reassessed. And for shoppers here, keeping it in place is important because it's what brings them into town.
It's nice to see people in here, and it's nice to see it busy, and I hope it continues.
It's quite essential for people. It gives people a reason to come into Sutton, I think. I have relatives in the past who have actually come into Sutton to go to Idlewells in particular.
We've just moved here from Derby to Somercotes, and we're visiting here today on business, and it's all right. We like the look of it.
I think we should add more shops because people come down here so they can buy like more stuff and like different things.
Part of the facility includes the Ashfield District Council owned Idlewells Indoor Market that's been around for years but reopened in 2018 after refurbishment costing the council nearly £2 million. This market offers customers somewhere to get their keys cut, buy knitwear, and also provides a place to sit and have a bite to eat too. Traders say footwear has been very promising and that Idlewells isn't on the way out this winter.
I've found that this year's been great for me because it's obviously the cold weather's come in, so I'm selling a lot more hats, scarves, gloves. But the footfall in here is getting better. We've always had a good footfall of customers anyway, and they've always come in and met up, had a coffee, and we've found there's been a really nice like a community hub in here.
I expected more than I've seen so far. Like November was a bit slow, but I think like people they're not wanting to get their phones fixed a month before Christmas, but December will make up for it.
Ashfield District Council leader Jason Zadrozny says the future is promising for the shopping centre despite it going up to auction, And alongside the idle wells, he says there's a lot to shout about in Sutton thanks to other investment in the town.
Well, I don't think you see idle wells in isolation. You can hear the bustle down the bottom there. That's where we're spending £2 million rebuilding Portland Square, developing a new market space. Just around the corner there, we're building the new Cornerstone Theatre, a multi-million pounds regeneration project. And idle wells is a key part of Sutton Town Centre.
All Sutton eyes will be peeled when the facility goes under the hammer to find out who takes over the idle wells. Jordan Guerrero for Notts TV.
Time for some news headlines now. Firstly, a pensioner has died following a serious collision in Retford. An 81-year-old pedestrian was involved in a crash with a lorry in North Road just before 9:30 this morning. Was pronounced dead at the scene. The road has been closed in both directions and investigation into what happened is ongoing. Police say the man's family will be supported by specially trained officers, and they're asking for anyone who witnessed the crash to get in touch on 101. And police are asking for witnesses to come forward after a Newark business was ransacked. The cafe on Stodman Street was broken into sometime between midnight and 2 a.m. on Sunday. Police say the till, iPhones, an iPad, a range of other items were taken after an intruder smashed a glass window to enter the property before searching the building and damaging parts of the inside. Officers say anyone with information or CCTV can get in touch with them to help their investigations. Again, the number is 101. Short break coming up. Don't go anywhere though, because we've got some more great guests coming up, including in the next part of the show, meeting the winner of Rushcliffe's Best Environmental Project. That and a full sport roundup as well, coming up in just a few minutes' time. Hello, welcome back to Wednesday Show with me, Mark Dennison. Here's what's happening in Notts today. Firstly, ambulance bosses say patients are having dreadful experiences as handover delays reached their second highest ever level. In November, East Midlands Ambulance Service crews lost 22,500 hours waiting to hand over their patients to hospitals. That's a 75% rise on the same number from November last year. In a meeting yesterday, the service's medical director admitted the figure isn't acceptable and vowed to improve. Nottingham's council house needs repairs costing £2.8 million. Figures revealed through a Freedom of Information request by the BBC reveal outstanding repairs are needed to the Old Market Square building stonework, as well as the dome, flooring and areas of the roof. City Council says the repairs will take place in the next financial year, starting April, with the roof repairs only making up £250,000 of this spending. Moving on now, and did you know that a simple needle and thread could help to reduce anxiety and improve focus? Well, Mary Broddle from West Bridgford has started a mindful stitching project which encourages people to learn new ways of taking care of their mental health. Despite living with a physical condition herself, she started helping others to improve their well-being. Katerina Sabadash attended one of the workshops to find out more about this therapy tool.
Stitch by stitch, people are sewing their way to improved mental well-being. Mindful stitching provides a creative outlet and a supportive community for people of all ages from a cafe in West Bridgford. The workshop was founded by Mary Broddle, who lives with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a genetic condition characterized by loose joints and limited mobility. Once an engineer in the railway industry, Mary used her skills for creating to turn an embroidery hobby into a thriving business as her disease progressed.
I can't knit, I can't crochet because I have the joint problems in my hands, they're very painful, but I can do embroidery. So I thought I'd turn my passion hobby into a business because I had all these skills and I know how it's helped me cope with disability.
Mary's interest in embroidery began at a young age, but only later she discovered its positive impact on mental health. That's when 21 years ago, the needle and thread helped her quit smoking.
Picked up a kit and it kept my hands busy. I thought, I won't eat, I won't smoke, it'll keep me busy in the evenings. And I just fell in love with it. And I said, persuade people to pick up a needle and thread and have a doodle rather than that glass of wine every night.
Studies show that embroidery can reduce stress, improve focus, and ease anxiety, with more than 75% of art therapy participants reporting positive effects. One of them is Jane Fletcher, who joined the classes several months ago.
You get so absorbed in what you're doing that you don't think about anything day to day. Anything that's worrying you just it melts away because you're absorbed in what you're doing or you're chatting to the ladies.
These workshops are held in a cafe to foster community and acceptance, and while some members may describe themselves as less talkative, like Karen Middleton, they've found a welcoming space to open up.
I'm normally quite a quiet person who doesn't get involved with a lot of things. So this has quite brought me out my shell. Your mind still drifts away with what you're involved in.
Alternative mental health practices are just beginning to gain popularity. Projects like mindful stitching show how needle and thread can be more than just a craft, but a tool for self-discovery. Katerina Sabadash for Nods TV.
Now then, as many of us did during lockdown, 21-year-old Rachel Ollerenshaw took to her local park for daily exercise. Remember those days? Now she's won an award as Rushcliffe's Environmental Project of the Year for her work with the Friends of Cotgrave Country Park. From joining as a volunteer 3 years ago to becoming a trustee and the group's first biodiversity and conservation lead and social media manager. She joins me now to discuss the award and much more. Hello. Congratulations on the award.
Thank you very much.
You can see it here. Big surprise to win, was it?
Definitely a surprise, yes.
Did you go along thinking, nah, it's not going to be me?
Definitely, yeah. There was 2 other shortlisted people, but yeah, it was a great surprise.
Someone told me, a Dickie Bird mentioned that, weren't you the only solo nominee? All
Yes.
the others were parts of
Yep.
groups, which makes it even more special in a way, doesn't it?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. Tell me about why you started volunteering, firstly.
So nature's always been part of my life, and we moved to the village, and the Cotgrave Country Park's a massive part of the village. So I came along to one of the task days with the hedge laying, and then ever since then I've kind of joined meetings and then got more and more involved with the park and the people that help to run it, and it's just been a great experience.
Yeah. It's strange because even there, just talking about daily exercise, was that, you mentioned there you're local anyway to Cotgrave, but the fact you were going there to have a bit of a walk around, I guess made you connect with the place even more?
Definitely. So me and my mum went there kind of every week or every day during COVID and lockdown, and it was just a great place to be with nature, especially during those times.
Yeah. It's a lovely place. I've spent many a nice afternoon having a stroll around there. It's big as well, isn't it? Because
Yes,
you've got
yeah.
lakes, it's undulating, it's a very interesting place.
Hundreds of acres, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about the kinds of things, because I mentioned there some of your roles now. It feels like you're very, very involved in it, but you've done lots of different things as time's gone on, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. One of the main thing at the moment is to complete the nature trail. So that was funding from the Co-op Community Fund, and we've got the money through for that, and then I've kind of designed the nature trail, procured the materials for it, and then we're starting to install it. So we've installed some bug hotels, and then some rubbing plaques for children to be able to bring along paper and pens to be able to do that. So that's another thing. And then there'll be lots of planting in the spring as well for pollinators and things.
It's another thing I've noticed. It's one of those places there are often posters around. You'll probably be doing this on social media as well, being a social media manager, where you're asking people to come along and there are various themed days and weekends. It feels like you get yourself involved in the community.
Yeah, definitely. It's lots of community events. So last year we do the Family Fun Day, so that's bringing kind of different stalls along, and then everyone comes along and the activities and things.
Yeah. And what's involved with, I mean, I guess the clue's in the title, but social media manager. So talk me through how much work's involved with that.
So we have a Facebook page and we also have a blog page. So the Facebook page is lots of notices, so about the task days that we have throughout the month, as well as all the events, and then kind of updating everyone of all the things that we're installing and things that are happening in the park and the meetings that we have.
Yeah.
And then the blog post is more kind of a longer, to create longer posts about what we're talking about on Facebook, and that kind of explains in detail more of what we do as a group so that people know all the work that goes into everything.
Yeah. And I guess these days that's really crucial to connect with your audience, isn't it? Everyone talks about connecting with your audience. So that's people that may or may not visit the park. You may or may not see them in person, but you can still interact with them.
Definitely. Lots of people in the village interact with the Facebook page, and I think people enjoy the updates of everything what's happening, even if they don't necessarily come along. Everyone's very supportive of everything we do.
Yeah. So what's next for you and the park? There's always lots of stuff to do. What's around the corner?
Well, it's task days as ever. So there's lots of things that need to happen in the park, and we need lots of volunteers to come and help do that. We've got our AGM in the new year that anyone can come along to and let them know their ideas and what they want us to do, but kind of we can do anything we want if people want to come along and help.
Wonderful. So if people see Facebook and Instagram posts, it's you doing it, Rachel. And final question, where are you keeping your award? Whereabouts in your house is it going?
Find a place on the mantelpiece.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. Never mind the Christmas tree, that goes pride of place. Well deserved. Rachel, thank you for coming in. Congratulations once again. Thank you. Time for some sports now. We'll start with Mansfield Town, who threw away a 1-0 lead in the second half to lose 3-1 away at Bolton last night. The Stags led until the last 15 minutes thanks to a first half goal by Kieran Boateng, who then got sent off in the 70th minute. That's when Bolton really fought back, and speaking after the game, Nigel Clough took responsibility for not taking Boateng off after his first yellow card.
Brilliant goal. He scores a fantastic goal, and I thought we started all right, then they had a spell of 10 minutes or so where they had 2 or 3 shots. Christie made some good saves, but then we settled down again, started playing, got the press sorted out better, and I thought we were in control of the game for the majority of it up until the red card. And my fault for leaving him on. Andy was saying, are you going to bring him off? He'd been booked. Are you going to bring him off? And I said, well, he should be able to get through 5 minutes. We'll get to 75. We're okay. We were so comfortable in the game. And then he goes and does something like that. So joint responsibility, but I should just take it out of his hands. Normally at half time, we bring people off if they're on yellow cards. Should have brought him straight off.
Notts County also lost on the road last night. They were beaten 3-2 in Walsall. Speaking after the game, head coach Stuart Maynard praised the way his side stayed in the game, but said injuries are still getting the better of the squad.
Disappointed in the result, but we've got a group of lads that are giving absolutely everything. Once they cross that white line, and you've seen it, we've gone to the end. We've pulled one back. It's probably a little bit too late. I think if we probably have another 10 minutes in the game, I think we get the equaliser. But what you've got to understand is that we're kind of got 6-7 out at the minute, and it does take its toll over the course of the amount of games that we're playing and the succession of the games. It does take its toll, but we've got a group of lads, and I said at the start of the season, it's not the starting 11 that will bring us success. It's the lads at the minute, and they're doing an incredible job for the football club.
Well, as for Forest, they'll be hoping for better luck tonight when they take on a vulnerable Man City at the Etihad. The champions are winless in 6 across all competitions. They go into the game just a point and a place ahead of Nuno's side. So a win for the Reds would lift them above the Citizens. It feels so strange and yet wonderful saying that. Come on, Forest, for tonight. Time for your picture of the day now. This is captured by Coops on Instagram. Lovely shot of Nottingham's Canal, of course. Weather-wise, tonight's going to be a bit of a wet one. Temperatures around 9 degrees. Then over the next couple of days, the Met Office actually have issued a yellow weather warning for high gusts of wind. Tomorrow's going to be dry in the morning, some light rain tomorrow afternoon and evening. Friday will be much the same. Temperatures a little bit lower, somewhere between 5 and 8 Celsius. Another short break coming up, but when we come back, talking about the County Council's new recycling campaign for Christmas. That's next. Welcome back to Wednesday's show. I'm Mark Dennison. Hope you're doing all right. Here's what's happening in Notts today. Firstly, bus stops across Nottingham will start benefiting from free Wi-Fi under a new council contract. 15-year deal has been awarded to JC Dassault from January. That's to refurbish the city's 800 bus shelters and its freestanding digital totems to start offering free public Wi-Fi. The contract is being awarded by Nottingham City Council. We'll see the company using revenue to also install LED lighting and real-time air quality monitors in the city as well. Staying with transport, Nottingham's tram network will roll out more frequent services from next week as part of the build to Christmas. Nets says customers will benefit from more regular routes later into the evenings from next Monday, December the 6th through till Christmas Eve. Part of plans to support a rise in shopper numbers in the build-up to Christmas and also address potential traffic issues in the city as customers look to do some late-night shopping. Now, are you in the mood for going out of an evening, maybe something festive? Here at Notts TV, we'd like to give you the lowdown on what's what every evening with our What's On guide, so here are one or two ideas. Firstly, it is Panto season. Oh yes it is! And Nottingham Playhouse still has a few tickets left for tonight's performance of Jack and the Beanstalk. That one starts at 7. Alternatively, Australian punk band The Chats play Rock City tonight, supported by The Prize and Rifle. Tickets are open there at 6:30. If you're quick, you might just grab a ticket online. And staying with music, although a slightly different genre, the BBC Concert Orchestra performing the songs of Carmina Burana tonight at the Royal Concert Hall. That one starts at 7:30 and doors open from 6:30. Whatever you do, wrap up warm and enjoy yourself. Now, my next guest is talking all about an exciting competition running in the county on the run-up to Christmas. Nottinghamshire County Council and waste management company Veolia have teamed up to get young people thinking about recycling. They're calling on artists aged between 5 and 11 to create A4 posters with ideas on how to reduce, reuse and recycle our waste this Christmas. And there are now just a few days left before the competition closes. Joining me now to tell you how to get involved is County Councillor Neil Clark, the authority's Cabinet Member for Environment. Hello.
Hello there, Mark. Hi.
Why are you doing this, firstly? What's the plan?
Well, we really want to encourage people to recycle, to reuse and to reduce the amount of waste. It's an ongoing thing. We have to do it all the time. Around Christmas time, we produce 30% more waste than at other times of the year. So we really want to encourage people to think about recycling. And I have to say, the children always come up with some great ideas of how to promote that recycling, and that's why we've teamed up with Veolia to really promote this, to get, as you've indicated in your comments, ages 5 to 11, 3 age categories, 5 to 7, 8 and 9, 10 and 11, so different ages, but to be creative. There aren't any real limits. We want them to really be creative as to how to actually try and get the message across to really reduce that. Think of ways, I mean, for instance, persuade your parents to get loose vegetables rather than in lots of plastic packaging, etc. That's just one of the many things. And to reuse maybe some toys that they don't want to play with anymore. Or lots of ideas that can be encouraged.
We'll come back to the fun bit in just a minute. Rules are very important, Neil, and what are the rules? They've got to be A4, haven't they? You mentioned there the age groups. What else do you need?
Well, I think probably the thing that makes sure they keep a note of the deadline, which is 10th of December. So as you indicated, it's not far away. It's only a few days away. So you've got this coming weekend to really put your thinking cap on and get them in. It can be either by post or it could be a photo digitally online onto the veolia.co.uk website. And then the winners will be announced on the 16th of December. And great prizes.
I was going to ask you about prizes.
Each of the age groups can win a family ticket to go and see Peter Pan on January the 4th.
Oh, no, they can't.
Oh, yes, they can.
Gee, Panto's come to the show. Brilliant. So prizes, Panto tickets could be yours. Just on a kind of semi-serious question, actually, Neil, while you're here, is it tricky trying to, because this is a serious issue, isn't it, recycling and the whole being green? Is it a tricky balance to strike, a serious issue, but trying to have a bit of fun with it?
Well, I think it does make it better, especially the kids have got very creative ways, and I think we sometimes forget how children can be so creative, and to shame their parents into doing something about recycling. That's often the case.
Yeah.
And they keep a check on what's being done in the kitchen or elsewhere in the house. So I think it is important that we encourage young people and hope that they will continue those thoughts through as they obviously gradually get older and into their adult life, that they're still thinking about ways to reduce, recycle and reuse.
Yeah. While you're here, it would be foolish of me not to ask about how you and your colleagues are doing at the council in terms of, I know every authority has targets when it comes to environmental targets. How are you doing with that? Are you on track to meet what you want to?
Yes, we're gradually increasing our recycling rates. There's always a lot more to do. We can never achieve 100%, I doubt. Maybe one day, who knows? But it's important that we do that. There is some new legislation coming in nationally from central government, some next year and some the year after, relating to food waste and to glass recycling. So it's important that all these things are thought about and that we all really think, don't just put them in the normal refuse bin. Really think about, well, before I throw this away, can it be recycled, and put it in the correct bin, not just being too lazy about it.
Neil, good to see you again. Thank you. Happy Christmas as well.
Get
designing. You've only got till Tuesday to get your entry in. Let's have a look at something we've been discussing on the show this week. That's in Sutton in Ashfield, where the main attraction to their town, Idlewell Shopping Centre, is going under the hammer for more than £3 million. The centre off Market Street is owned by London-based investment group Midos. It's being sold to the highest bidder on December the 12th. The building has 40 retail units, a cafe, a market hall and a multi-storey car park with about 250 spaces. Our reporter Jordan Guerrero went down to talk to shoppers and local traders to find out more.
A shopping hall established more than 5 decades ago that's since become the staple attraction of Sutton in Ashfield. Thousands of shoppers come through the doors of the Idlewells each month to buy goods from the national and independent businesses on offer. But the future of these facilities isn't clear after management company Davleo Estates put the shopping centre up at auction for a price of more than £3 million. The company insists this isn't a result of performance, but it's because its own property portfolio needs to be reassessed. And for shoppers here, keeping it in place is important because it's what brings them into town.
It's nice to see people in here and it's nice to see it busy, and I hope it continues.
It's quite essential for people. It gives people a reason to come into Sutton, I think. I have relatives in the past who have actually come into Sutton to go to Idlewells in particular.
We've just moved here from Derby to Somercotes and we're visiting here today on business, and it's all right. We like the look of it.
I think we should add more shops because people come down here so they can buy like more stuff and like different things.
Part of the facility includes the Ashfield District Council owned Idlewells Indoor Market that's been around for years but reopened in 2018 after refurbishment costing the council nearly £2 million. This market offers customers somewhere to get their keys cut, buy knitwear and also provides a place to sit and have a bite to eat too. Traders say footwear has been very promising and that Idlewells isn't on the way out this winter.
I've found that this year's been great for me because it's obviously the cold weather's come in, so I'm selling a lot more hats, scarves, gloves. But the footfall in here is getting better. We've always had a good footfall of customers anyway, and they've always come in and met up, had a coffee, and we've found there's been a really nice, like a community hub in here.
I expected more than I've seen so far. Like November was a bit slow, but I think like people they're not wanting to get their phones fixed a month before Christmas, but December will make up for it.
Ashfield District Council leader Jason Zadrozny says the future is promising for the shopping centre despite it going up to auction. And alongside the Idlewells, he says there's a lot to shout about in Sutton thanks to other investment in the town.
Well, I don't think you see Idlewells in isolation. You can hear the bustle down the bottom there. That's where we're spending £2 million rebuilding Portland Square, developing a new market space. Just around the corner there, we're building the new Cornerstone Theatre, a multi-million pounds regeneration project. And Idlewells is a key part of Sutton Town Centre.
All Sutton eyes will be peeled when the facility goes under the hammer to find out who takes over the Idlewells. Jordan Guerrero for Knots TV.
Time for some news headlines now. Firstly, police have renewed their appeal for information after a sexual assault at a Nottingham bar. The incident took place at about 7 p.m. on October the 5th at a venue inside the Corner House on Foreman Street. Police say the incident was upsetting for the female victim. They're determined to find the person responsible. So they've released the CCTV image on your screen now. They want to talk to the person pictured. They say anyone who's got information can get in touch on 101. Next, a prolific shoplifter who committed 11 thefts over a 6-week shoplifting spree has been jailed. Richard Brown targeted shops including the Co-op on Bramcote Lane in Chilwell, the Co-op on Bridgeford Road in West Bridgeford and FOP on Bridlesmith Gate in Nottingham between mid-October and late November this year. He was tracked using CCTV images and appeared at Nottingham Magistrates Court last Friday. He admitted to 11 shop thefts and was jailed for a year, as well as being told to pay nearly £900 in compensation. One final break in the show coming up in a moment. Go and get a brew or something, why not? Treat yourself. And in a moment we'll find out how Lord Byron's Notts legacy is being kept alive and meeting a children's author and singer who's just released his 8th book. That's on the way in just a minute. Hello, welcome back to Wednesday's show. I'm Mark Dennison. I hope you're doing all right. Here's what's happening in Notts today. Firstly, Mansfield District Council has started its hunt for a new chief executive. The Labour-run authority is looking for someone to take over at the top of the council. That's after the previous CEO, Adam Hill, left to join Rushcliffe Borough Council. The position is the most senior office role at a council, pays more than £100,000 per year. The council says it hopes to recruit the new chief exec before Christmas and have them in place by February. Next, and this year's Peter Pan panto might just be getting started, but a star of next year's show has already been confirmed. Oh yes, they have. That's because legendary Strictly judge Craig Revel Horwood will be weaving magic as the wicked stepmother when Cinderella takes over at the Theatre Royal next winter. And don't forget, this year's Peter Pan starts on Saturday, runs all the way through until early January. Let's move on now. Another flamboyant character, in fact, and we all like to think of ourselves as lords of our homes. But when you live in a home that was once inhabited by a world-famous poet, you might hold your head that little bit higher, or better yet, publish a book all about it. Geoffrey Bond is an author and Lord Byron enthusiast. He lived in Byron's former home, Burgage Manor in Southwell, where he wrote some of his earliest works, and his third book, published in the bicentenary year of Byron's death, hopes to strengthen the poet's ties with the area, as Jack Sims found out.
They say a man's home is his castle, but for Geoffrey Bond, it has been the inspiration for a lifetime of work. To say that he is an enthusiast is an understatement. The former head of London's Byron Society has one of the largest collections of Lord Byron memorabilia in the world. That includes more than 1,000 books, and he's published 3 of his own. It would be hard to fit all of this under one roof, but he has the space, as he has lived in Burgage Manor in Southwell for more than 30 years. This was Lord Byron's home, where he lived with his mother from 1803 to 1808, before moving to his famed Newstead Abbey. And now, in the bicentenary of his death, Geoffrey has published his third book, which looks to highlight Byron's early life as well as his own ties with the tortured poet.
Because the book isn't just about Byron, it's partly about my living here. What's it like to live in a house where one of the most famous men in Europe of his day lived and wrote his books? And it can be given to few people to be able to write a book about a person in this room, which you know was Byron's bedroom. It's quite an exceptional experience. But I do feel sometimes that he's perhaps looking down and thinking, what's this chap doing?
Today, his book was launched at Southwell Minster's Archbishop's Palace, where those who attended came to celebrate. That included the actual current Lord Byron, who supported Geoffrey's work of bringing his ancestors' early life to light.
I've stayed with Geoffrey Bond at Burgage Manor, and he has made that into a real Byron museum, a real shrine. No, I think it was important It's where he started writing, and the rest is history, as they say.
The former Lord Lieutenant of Nottinghamshire, Sir John Peace, also hopes the new book will give the county more of a reason to celebrate its history.
So this launch is a catalyst in many ways for us to promote our area about Nottingham and Nottinghamshire and all the amazing things historically that have happened here.
So whether you pronounce it Southwell or Southwell, you can't argue the memory of Lord Byron is alive and well here, all thanks to one very proud homeowner. Jack Sims for Notts TV.
Time for our final guest of the show now, and he's a man of many talents. Not only does Mark James teach guitar to primary and secondary school pupils across Notts, he also writes music and illustrates and writes children's books. In fact, Mark, who lives in Colic, has now self-published 7 books for children aged between 2 and 6, and is now releasing a Christmas novel for 7 to 12-year-olds. Just before we chat, here's a little look at his song Trials for Christmas, which is titled as his new novel.
There's a mist that is rolling into town, and it's creeping up to every house around, through chimneys and keyholes and cracks in the window, until the last child is found. It will find you sleeping in your bed. It will creep right up inside your head.
Well, as you can see, Mark joins me in the studio now. Welcome, good to see you. Is there anything you can't do? That's how I was going to start our chat.
Plenty of things. So
you can write and teach guitar. You can do the illustrations. You write the books. What can you not do? I need to find something.
I can't iron a shirt without having a massive scranny.
That'll do. A massive scranny. I love that. We can see some of the books on the table here, including the new one. I mentioned this is aimed at slightly older children. I wonder if that was a big shift in terms of how you write.
Well, the picture books were for 2 to 6, and the children's novel, that's my first children's novel, and that's for ages 7 to upwards to maybe 12.
Yeah. Does that change the way you write, though? It must do, because you're aiming at a
completely, because the picture books obviously are more like illustration, and the idea for the Christmas book was just a small little idea, but when I came to write it, it was obvious that I couldn't do a picture book. It had to be a bigger book.
Right.
So I just kept writing and kept writing and kept writing, and it just
and that was it. That's how it was born.
Yeah.
What is that idea, without giving away the entire plot?
The idea is, I think a few years ago I was watching a courtroom drama, and I noticed that the judge just looked like Santa. He just looks. I'm sure loads of people have realised this before, but in his red robes and his white lining and that, he just looked like Santa. So I thought that was the idea, and obviously what is he going to judge? It's to judge if they're on the naughty or the nice list.
Ah.
So then that was my little idea, and basically it's grown from that, and it's basically it's a courtroom drama for kids.
Right. Hence the title, Trials of Christmas.
That's right.
Gotcha. Where do you get your ideas from? Because I'm always curious how people like you find time to do stuff like this, because it feels like you're a very busy fella. So where do your ideas come to you?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, the first book I did was when my first little boy was born, and I became a father. And my wife had always said, I should write children's books, but I never knew what she meant, really. I never understood why she said this. But I tried, and it just worked. I just really liked it, and I could do it, and I just did more and more.
Yeah.
And it just evolved from there. But as far as the inspiration and the ideas go, you don't often. It's not a conscious thing. It just it comes. It comes to you. The second book, not the second book. This book here the
rain has
stopped play. That was for my second child, who was born in lockdown. So your question about where did the ideas come from, it wasn't evident at the time, but it's obvious now that it was all about lockdown, because the whole story of that book is about kids who can't go outside because it's raining, and they make up lots and lots of games in their heads. It's a story of an imagination. But I didn't write it with lockdown in mind, but obviously it was. So the ideas come from somewhere.
Your mind's constantly going, and creative minds, that's what they do. Mark, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you for coming in. Wish you and yours a very happy Christmas as well. Good luck with the book as well.
Thank you very much.
And next year too. Thank you. Now then, let's have a look at what else is on Notts TV this evening. That means the return of Team Talk. It's an away day for Mark Shardlow and Charlie McPartland, so I stepped into the hot seat to talk all things Forest, Mansfield and Notts. It's on at 8 o'clock tonight right here, and this week I'm joined by Forest women player Kate Longhurst to talk about their unbeaten start to the season and their whopping 19-0 win at the weekend. Have a look.
I think if you look at the squad that we have, players shouldn't be playing in this league, with all due respect. I think we have a championship squad ready to compete in the championship, but of course you still have to play the teams in the league, and no game is going to be easy.
Consolidating the position. The mid-table survival this year, I suppose, would be a success. It's a long time since we've been in League One.
Nuno's just really stamped his way of playing on that playing squad, and I think it certainly helped also that defensively we're so much better.
The mood's been really good. We are unbeaten in the league. I think we have a competitive squad. We know that people that are not playing are more than capable.
There's nothing worse than ending up mid-table and nothing to play for the last month.
It's certainly like a homely feeling club, and I think the fact that we have that with being at the City Ground as well, it almost feels like a one club mentality where it's like everyone is part of the journey.
Thank you, Mark. I'm so hard-working. Straight after that, we've also got coverage of the Nottingham Panthers' 3-2 win over Dundee on Sunday. We'll show all the goals, plus the annual Teddy Toss as well. That's here on Notts TV, 9 p.m. Time for another look at your picture of the day now. Thank you to Captured by Coops for this great snap. Weather-wise, tonight is going to be a wet one. Temperatures down to around about 9. Then over the next few days, we've actually got a yellow weather warning for high gusts of wind. Tomorrow, it's going to be dry in the morning, some light rain in the afternoon and evening. Friday, much the same, and temperatures between 5 and 8 degrees. That's pretty much the end of the show. Emma's here to do it all over again from 5:30 tomorrow. Thank you to all of our great guests. From everyone here on the team, enjoy your evening. Goodbye.